y'all, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some common mistakes that we make when we are concealing. Things that don't really work very well for aging skin and can end up making your fine lines and wrinkles, especially around your eyes, really pop when what you're trying to do is conceal them. That is the point of concealer, right? So I am going to be showing you today the technique that I use to make my concealer look like this so that I don't have a lot of the fine lines and wrinkles that I do have actually showing or popping out at you. Now, there are a lot of how-to videos for mature skin. I don't like that word. So I prefer aging. I don't know why. Aging makes me think that, yay, we're still alive, and mature makes me think that, we have to act like grown-ups, and I'm definitely not a grown-up. So anyway, so they will tell you that, there's all the stuff that you can't do. You can't conceal, you can't wear full foundation, you can't use Shape Tape, you can't bake. And I'm not really interested in hearing about the things that I can't do because I'm in my 30s and almost 40, or maybe you're in your 50s. Like, I think that those makeup rules are frankly bullshit, and there's nothing that we can't do with aging skin that we couldn't do when we were in our 20s. I look better now than I did 10 years ago. I look better now than I did 20 years ago. So I think that you should take everything that the YouTube beauty gurus say with a grain of salt. There's nothing that you can't do if you want to do it. It's just really about finding out what works for you. So this is what works best for my skin. Keep in mind that I do have normal to dry skin. I have a lot of dryness here in my T-zone. I do not have oily skin, so it may be different for people that do. I know that I see in all of my Facebook groups that the stuff that looks really great on people with oily skin or that they really love tend to be things that I don't like because it's drying. But you will find that as you age, your skin does get more dry. So keep that in mind as well. I'm not going to do a whole skincare routine with you, but I will say that no matter how old or young you are, having a good eye cream is really important, especially a night cream, because like you'll hear me say, once I actually start doing this look, it's a lot easier to not have to conceal fine lines or try to fill them in. It's a lot easier if you just don't have them, which I know that some of that is genetics, so we don't have a lot of control over that. But the stuff that you can control is taking good care of your skin, and you just can't fake that. So you can start now. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you haven't been doing it, if you have sun damage, all that kind of stuff. It's never too late to start taking good care of your skin, and your makeup is not going to look great if your skin looks like crap, and that's just a fact. So, getting enough sleep, depuffing your eyes, using a good eye cream, all of those things are what you can do all of the time to make sure that your concealer is going to look great. So stay tuned, and we are going to go over what to do and definitely what not to do, what does not work for aging skin, especially if you have fine lines or wrinkles. It's not just aging too. I see girls that are like 18 and 19 that have under eye circles, that have lots of puffiness, that have lines. So it's not necessarily age related either. Some people just have better genetics than others, Some people look great at 40 and have no lines. So some of it is lifestyle, but some of it is also genetics, which unfortunately we don't have any control over. So stick around, and we'll be talking about what to do and what not to do. I hate my face when I don't have any concealer or foundation on, because you can just see all of, the discoloration and the age, and I love it when people comment and tell me that they love my skin or that I have perfect skin and everything, and it is not true. It's really just about taking care of it, and that's the number one most important thing. So I'm going to go ahead, I got my hair pulled back out of the way, it looks like crap, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom in and start talking to y'all about the do's and don'ts. Okay, so the first thing that you can really see is that I have very dark natural under eye circles. You almost really can't tell how bad they are because of all the amount of light that I have right now. You know, if you've made a YouTube video, you know that to film, you need a lot of light. So I film ideally next to a window that's right here as a light source coming in when the weather permits, which it hasn't lately. I also have a ring light around my camera, which is pretty standard for beauty vloggers and really anybody that wants to have any kind of attention to their face, really. But I found it's incredibly important when you're talking about makeup and beauty. I have a really super ghetto rigged light over here, so you can see when I cover it up, to give you a little bit more light over on this side, so it's not, so it's a little bit more balanced. But I do have to be careful with shadow. I don't have any umbrella lights yet. I really need some, but light has been a problem for me with filming. So like if I dim this, you can see a lot more of the natural discoloration that I have under my eye. They're very dark and they're kind of purple. In my eyes, I've always had this. I was just born with dark circles naturally. My sister has them, not to such a great extent, but my dad also has them. So this is really just natural for me, and this is more like normal overhead light right now when I don't have that. When I get that other light source, and obviously with the natural light, it's not nearly as bad, so it's very misleading. So I'm gonna zoom in even closer, so you can see the fine lines that I have under my eyes. I have quite a bit of fine lines right here. Sorry about the jingling. My boyfriend's dog is walking around and I can't get him to stop. I do have a lot of fine lines on the corners of my eyes, which I think is true for a lot of people as you age, and I do have some fine lines under my eyes, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I don't know, however you want to say it, whether it's fortunate or unfortunate, they really only show up when I poorly conceal. I'm gonna do your standard like Instagram shape tape everywhere kind of thing, and just give you an idea of why that doesn't work if you have aging skin. So let me go ahead and zoom in and give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about here. So the extreme zoom is not wanting to work, but I think you can see here I have some natural discoloration up here too that is very odd. So it often makes it look like I have a darker shadow here, which I don't. And I do have some puffiness today. But there you go. See, there's some of those lines, and they do come with the puffiness as well. So if you depuff, again, that's going to help. So to just give you an idea of what I'm really working with here. I don't know if y'all found that as scary as I did, but that was a little like extreme close-up even for me. This is actually right now is an extreme close-up even for me, but okay. At this point, I have moisturized over my entire face with my usual moisturizer, the Body Shop Vitamin C. They changed the packaging on this. This is the Vitamin C Glow Protect Lotion, Broad Spectrum SPF 30 sunscreen. It's so important to have sunscreen in your moisturizer. Don't use a daily moisturizer that does not have sunscreen. I don't care if you're 12 years old. If you're putting something on your face underneath, which you really should be if you're wearing foundation, make sure that it has an SPF. You cannot protect your skin enough against the sun. And this vitamin C helps with fine lines and wrinkles as well as discoloration, like it says, for dull, tired, grumpy skin. And I like to have a glow. This is why when I use a primer, I use the Becca Backlight Priming Filter. Glowing skin is going to help you look more youthful, and it's just also really on trend right now. You know, we use a lot of highlighters. We like to have glowing skin right now. I get this from the Body Shop. Unfortunately, we don't have a Body Shop in my area anymore. It did close, so I get this through the mail usually about once a year. They have a really good sale. I just got 3 of these with a buy 2 get 1 free, so if you have a Body Shop, you're very lucky. But the most important thing that I can say about concealing and not showing fine lines and wrinkles around your eyes is that if you don't have the fine lines and wrinkles, they're not going to show. So a lot of the work does come on a day in, day out basis with treating your skin the way that you should treat it. If you're a teenager, it's never too early, you know, go ahead and pick up like that Clean and Clear. That is going to help with blemishes and stuff if you have trouble with that. I wish that I had taken skincare a little bit more seriously when I was younger. I started moisturizing pretty religiously about 10 years ago when I was like 25, 26. But it's never too early to take good care of your skin is the bottom line. So we don't have to worry about highlighting those fine lines and wrinkles if you don't have them. Now, I'm going to tell you about the other product I use. This isn't like a full skincare video. I'm going to do one of those eventually. But I'm going to tell you about the best product that I have found for an eye cream. This is the Estee Lauder Advanced Night Repair Eye. So yes, Estee Lauder does animal testing. Yeah, and I feel really guilty about it. I do. They are the parent company of a lot of the makeup that you buy though. So if you're interested in that, I did a blog post about it on my website, not26anymore.beauty.com, about how some of these parent companies of cruelty-free products still test on animals. So some of your money is still going to animal testing. That doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it okay. Animals might be suffering because I use this and it does bother me. This is also ridiculously expensive. This little bottle is $65. You can get it on sale. I think I got this for like $57 actually. Ulta.com has it sometimes they don't. I don't know why they have it sometimes and not. It's a small bottle. It is 0.5 ounces, but this will last you forever because you are just using it right around your eye. It comes with a little thing to put it on with so you're not sticking your finger in the pot, which I hate. You know, you don't want to get those that bacterial and oils and stuff in there. So the little thing, you put it on, I just go beep and beep. And this will last me 6 to 9 months, which is still a lot of money, but you really can't put a price on good skin, apparently. You know, you don't have to be like some celebrities and spend like $60,000 a year or on skincare and stuff like that, but spending a little bit of extra money on skincare is going to make a huge difference. The Advanced Night Repair is what I use every night, and in the mornings I have been using this. It is Conceal Eye. I got this from Beautylish. I got this from Beautylish to meet the $35 that I needed for shipping when I was buying a Jeffree Star liquid lipstick. This is the Eye Contour Gel for sensitive skin. Apply once to twice a day on a cleansed eye contour area. Massage gently until absorbed. Makeup can be applied afterwards. Suitable for contact lens wearers. Primarily what you want to do is make sure that you're moist enough, you know, that you're moisturized under your eye. That's going to be the most important thing. So make sure that that has had time to like sink in, that it's rubbed in really well. So the first thing that I did for my don't eye, oh I guess this is going to be my don't eye, is I did put my Conceal eye under this eye. I did not put anything under this eye, and I try to make sure when I'm moisturized with my vitamin C to keep it here, because usually I'll do my eye cream and then my moisturizer, so there's nothing under here. What happens as you get older is that your skin gets more dry and a little bit thinner, and so we want to make sure that it's really well moisturized and also that it's giving that concealer something to stick to. This is the point where you're going to color correct. So even though we're doing like really eye concealing, I'm going to go ahead and take my Makeup Revolution palette. This is why, if you've ever seen anybody say that embossing or engraving instead of stamping, this is just stamped, and I've used this so many times that it's wearing off. So this is my what is this called? This is the Ultra Professional Corrector palette, and I'm going to go ahead and color correct this blemish down here that just doesn't want to go away. I've been using some Proactive samples that I have on it, and it has been helping with the discoloration, but it's still a little bit darker than I would want. So I'm going to go ahead and color correct that with my green here, because it is mostly redness that shows up. And I have a couple of little other places that I like to just do slight color correction on. I don't use a lot of this, because I do find I love Makeup Revolution. Some of their products are great and some of their products are not as great. These cream concealers do have a tendency to move around a bit, so I try not to put too much on, and that's why I don't use this. You can see when I first started color correcting under my eyes, I did use the orange quite a bit, and you can see that that is really well used, but I did find it moved around quite a bit on me, and that just does not work. That's not going to work as you're putting other stuff on top. So for the dew eye, we've moisturized. Like I said, this eye we have not. And the next thing that I'm going to do, now I've got my little bit of color correction done, is this is also where you're going to want to color correct for any under eye circles. Hopefully you've dealt with any puffiness that you have. Sometimes I have an easier time than others. There are two products that I recommend for this. The first is the Boing by Benefit. This is their industrial strength concealer in the lightest shade 01. And it does have some orange to it, so it is going to help with the color correction in addition to concealing. The other one that I really like, and it's a lot lower priced, I don't know the exact prices, I'll look them up on Ulta.com and pop them up here for you. This is the Catrice Cosmetics. This is a lower price brand. Ulta has it over with the drugstore products in this is the Wake Up Effect Camouflage Cream by Catrice, and I want to say that this was like $6. It is brighter. Not getting a great show of the color there, but I have found though that you have to be kind of careful with actually both of these, depending on what kind of powder you're going to use under your eye. Because I do sometimes end up with the white rings under my eyes in photographs, and that's really not what you want when you're going to be in photographs at all. It doesn't show up as much in real life. But anyway, if you can't afford the Benefit, you can try the Catrice. Today I'm going to use the Boing because it is not quite as bright, and I am filming today. In addition to this one, I'm also doing some other filming, so I don't want any kind of like reflecting. What that Wake Up effect does, anything that is brightening, it reflects light, so it can cause those under eye circles. So this is my next step. I just go in with my finger and I apply this under my eye. And if you watched my foundation routine video, you know that I will swipe this. I'm gonna go ahead and actually zoom in. There's gonna be a lot of zooming in and out, and I'm sorry about that. Because what I'm trying to do is, this is a thicker product, so those fine lines that I know that I have under my eye, I'm trying to go ahead and actually use this product to fill those in. Because the when we go back over it with the Shape Tape, which we're going to be doing, the Shape Tape will settle into those creases because it is a thinner, more liquid, where this is more like a paste. And so if there's no place for that to settle, then you're not going to end up highlighting those. Now what I'm going to do on this side is just leave it. So I've got no moisturizer and no color correct concealer there. So I'm not putting a ton of this stuff. It is a very light layer, but it's just enough to kind of, I think you can see the difference on the camera. It's just taking those purple discolored places and just correcting the color a little bit. And we're not going to worry about bringing it all the way down because that's what we're going to do with the Shape Tape. See, this is a good example of why you really got to rub in that eye cream. I did not rub in the eye cream enough, so when I was putting on the Boing, it did end up with a little bit of flaking, which is not a problem. I think I got most of that off, but still kind of a pain in the butt. You don't want to have to deal with it if you don't have to, so make sure that's like really rubbed in. Like one YouTuber who I've watched, I can't remember who it was, but I remember she said she puts on her eye cream as soon as she gets out of the shower, and then she does the rest of her stuff. So you know, do that as soon as possible so it has as much time to sink in as possible. So at this point is where, you know, in your normal routine, you're probably going to put on your foundation. This is something that I picked up when Rite Aid was going out of business. This is the CoverGirl Stay Lumi foundation. It is a natural glow foundation. This is color 810 Classic Ivory. This is a full coverage foundation, which is pretty not something that I find that looks very good in drugstore, so I do like this. I don't find that it makes me any more luminous than any other product. So I'm going to do just what I normally do in my foundation routine here. I'm going to dot this. I do this with my my Maybelline Fit Me foundation, which is a medium coverage. But like I said, I'm going to be filming today, so I am going with more of a full coverage. So I'm just going to dot this everywhere other than that area that I'm going to be concealing and blend it out. I'm sorry if you guys can hear my boyfriend's dog. Oh, well, now he's barking, so you can definitely hear that. Don't you love dogs? I do love dogs. Okay, normally that's the kind of rambling that I would edit out, but I'm not going to be able to. So I'm going to speed this up because blending out is boring. So this is the Up and Up large beauty blender. These things start off pretty sturdy, hard, but they do absorb water really well. I like this. I want to say that this was $12, Target brand, and I didn't think I would like it, but I actually really did end up liking it. Say, and I don't know if it is the foundation or this particular beauty blender or the combo, but there are times that I do find with the Outlast Lumi that I have to like press and roll with it, and I don't find that I have to do that with the Maybelline Fit Me. I might do a video comparing the two, I don't know. So you can see I just blended that out. I feel like you can't really overblend your foundation, but eventually at some point you have to stop just because there's only so many hours in the day. This is the point where we start to conceal. So, you know, use your foundation first. I didn't know that for the longest time. I was concealing and then putting foundation over top of it. These are the wonderful things that we learned from all of the great makeup artists and talented people on Instagram and YouTube who offer us their services for free. I've learned so much from YouTube and Instagram. That's part of the reason I wanted to start a YouTube channel. So now what we're going to do is take our concealers. This is the Tarte Shape Tape, obviously favorite of everyone on Instagram and YouTube as well. And this is the Fair and the Fair Neutral. I find that my skin is, it's great though because I'm very light skinned, so the Fair is actually too light for me, which never happens. So I do mix the Fair and the Fair Neutral together. So I put the Fair, this is the Dew side. I dot a little bit of the Fair right in the inner corner, so it's a little bit lighter. And you can see that's not a huge amount. All right, and then the Fair Neutral, I dot underneath my eye. So I just have one doe foot applicator, just pulled it out, and I'm just gonna go under the eye in little dots up to that point that I pointed out before where I do have that discoloration naturally. And I'm gonna go back in the little, you know, like every other, and then just like do a little few. So it's still that general, this is still probably more than a lot of people use, but this is what I find works best for me and my skin. So to make it more pronounced, I'm going to take the Fair, even though I know it's a little bit too light for me, especially in the summer now when my skin is a little bit darker. But we're going to do Instagram style, and we're just going to drag it down the nose and over the way that people do, and just completely coat it. Now this stuff, hopefully you're familiar with the Shape Tape. It is its own beast. It is thick, but it's still very, it's not like a paste though. I mean, it is still very liquid, but it is thicker than your like NYX or your average concealer that comes in a package. Like, I don't know how to say this, like wand concealer, I guess. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a damp beauty blender. This is the Ulta brand. They are little ones. These puff up quite a bit. And I'm going to go ahead and blend this out. I'm going to start with this side. Starting at the corner and blending out. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to zoom it in. Hopefully it'll focus. See that line? Or crease, as the young people call it. I know that it is my fun line. So this is the point where when you see those popping, you've got to do something about it now. This is when you have to make sure that it's smooth. So we are going to do that as we blend out from the corner all the way up to the temple here. I am going to make sure that every single line is filled in. And part of how you do that is by, you really want to make sure that this is damp enough. You don't want it sopping wet, like wring the water out of it, but do not use this dry. It does not work. And that dabbing motion, just that bump, 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 bump. You know, once you get used to it, you do it fast. But if you're not familiar with a beauty blender, don't go too fast. So what we're trying to do now is make sure every crease and fine line, I'm pulling back so you can see how far down I go. Because this is more like your standard Instagram or YouTuber. But I want all of those lines gone now. So do not move on until your eye looks underneath it the way that you want it to look, because this is the time that it's most important, when it is wet and when you are blending it out. However much time it takes. Is it worth it to not have creasing? All right, now sometimes I get these little tiny vertical lines, and I'm not really sure what causes that, and that is legit creasing. It's not wrinkles. That is the product creasing, and I find that's very common. I think sometimes maybe I blink, so you want to get those out too. Sometimes I will, they did okay with the beauty blender this time. Sometimes I do use my finger right there to pat those out, and you can do that with your other lines too, and kind of roll underneath if you need to. See, I'm a little puffy today, so I have a pretty consistent line there. It's not wanting to go away. Just do the best you can. We can't always make it perfect, but I think I did pretty good here. And you can see that with the Shape Tape, it is thick enough that it is mostly canceling out that dark color. So what I will do with the extra on this is just kind of put it over my eyelid and use it like a primer or an eyeshadow base, because you know, you never want to waste what's on this. This is pretty expensive stuff. All right, so there you go. So you can see, even with dabbing those little bits, like this is still a full coverage concealer. You know, there's no skin. There's no skin showing through that. So now this side, where I'm going to take a different beauty blender because I want to be fair about this. Now you see that I swiped it on here. So there's a lot more product on this side, and I did not moisturize, remember, and I did not color correct. So now I'm gonna blend this out just the same with a damp beauty blender, starting at the corner of my eye and going out to my temple. And the first thing that you're gonna notice, and I did let this sit longer, I probably should have waited, is that it gets everywhere because it's a lot of product. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm putting it over my entire eyelid all the way up to my eyebrow because it's just so much freaking product. And look, now do you see how it's defining these lines? It has settled into this crease. I'm going to see if I can really get up here. Into the, we say creases, these are fine lines, okay? The Shape Tape has settled into these fine lines, and see how it is just really, suddenly these pop out. Like you couldn't really see those well on camera and even in person. But now that the Shape Tape has settled down in there, they're popping, which is definitely not what you want. Then as I try to blend this out, it's a lot harder to make those lines disappear. So I'm gonna just move back from the camera and you can see just like how much product I have. And without the color correction, I still have discoloration here, which you're not seeing as pronounced on this side. But I still have that like, it almost looks like a line there. So no matter how hard I push and how much I bounce, I'm not able to hide that. Whereas over here, it's not nearly as pronounced. So you could bounce this stuff out for an hour and, ooh, I have a big part there on my nose. You end up with so much extra stuff when you swipe. Now, you know, some people might be saying, hey, you're not wearing enough concealer. Oh. So some people might try to correct, but just gopping more on there. So let's just go. Well, I can still see some color here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do this again. And then what happens is you have all these layers of product that maybe you can get this to look decent for Instagram or YouTube. This is gonna look like you just have on gobs and gobs and gobs of makeup in person. And see, what's happening now is I'm also getting sort of, it's not crusty really, but it's like flaky there because I have so much concealer under my eye. And again, like maybe, let's go back. It's really not helping with that, but look how much more pronounced it is, you guys. Suddenly I've got this deep divot under my eye. Now, which of these looks better? You know, this one actually, I feel like it's even maybe gotten more puffier somehow, maybe because of all the dabbing. So, which eye looks better? And see now we just double down with it. And now we were like sealing in this eye. So you've given up, you're like, this is as good as it gets over here. I'm gonna seal that effort in. And then this one, again, I mean, you still have some color there, but I'm not trying to look like a porcelain doll necessarily. You know, I'm a human being walking around, so I've got a little bit of an eyelash there. Now we're gonna set it. So I have two different pressed powders, and they're both really messy, unfortunately. I've got the NYX Mineral Set It, Don't Fret It powder. This is gonna run you like $9.99 at Ulta. And I have the Tarte Amazonian Clay Smooth Operator Translucent Powder. This powder is not translucent. They were sold out of the translucent, so I actually got the light medium in this. So now you want to set it or bake with it. I'm not saying, plenty of YouTubers will tell you that older women or aging skin shouldn't bake. I disagree with that. But what you don't want to do is bake in the lines. So if you make sure that you don't have the lines to begin with, you don't have to worry about baking those in. Now, normally I would take a different beauty blender that's a little bit more damp for this part. And you guys know how to bake. Just get up. Put an ungodly amount of product over the concealer. And what I find, and I don't know why, if I don't color correct, I feel like this has gotten even more defined. Look at that line, that dark line. Same powder, same beauty blender. Oh, this is getting everywhere. Taking a good amount. And what I'm going to do here is press not quite as much in. I'm going to put it all over the concealer, because what you really want to do here is set that concealer for your day. So you can go about your life, you can go to work, you can go to school, you can film a YouTube video, and your concealer is not going to move around. So what I'm going to do is actually Orpha Zanali's technique, which I love, and she's in her 30s as well, so I think she's a little bit younger than me. So she's not an 18-year-old by any means, and she, by her own account, is terrified of creasing. So what she does instead of baking is she actually presses the powder into the skin. And hopefully what you've done by this point is you don't have any lines for that to settle into, because we have worked on filling them in, we have concealed in a way that makes sense for our skin, and you just press that powder in. So what we don't want is actual creasing where the powder itself creases, but a lot of times I find that when women say creasing, we're talking about product going into those fine lines. All right. And just make sure, if you have to dampen this again, I do recommend using a different beauty blender than the one that you use for concealer, because, the powder's going to stick to that concealer. And I like for whichever sponge I'm doing this with to be more damp than I like for it to be when I'm blending out concealer. All right, now I didn't put really quite as much as you probably would baking under this eye. Let's just go ahead and boom, boom, boom. Let's just really, I don't know if it's picking up my film, but extra stuff is just it's coming out into the air. And now what you can do is, with legit baking, you can buff it off, or you can use Orpha Zanali's technique of smushing it into the skin. My nose, my side of my nose is so concealed because there's so much Shape Tape there. I mean, let's just be honest, nobody needs that much product. I'm gonna put a little bit of powder over my nose here, because see the difference here? Look, what looks more natural? And then here we have the super concealed. So I just want you to really look this side. Not only does it look more natural, but it doesn't have super fine lines or any wrinkles, whereas this side has got really defined lines and discoloration because I didn't color correct. So no matter how much product, and remember I put an extra layer of Shape Tape on here, no matter how much product you goop on, you're not going to be able to hide the mistakes that you have already made here. So which would you prefer? I know the answer for myself. This actually feels kind of stiff too. So I'm just gonna go in, show you a little bit closer up. I do have some, see, this is where our wrinkles really show when you smile. You know, we can't get around this. From further away, it's not as noticeable, but you know, what you really want, I think, for those of us who are in our 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, I mean, isn't it everybody? What we want makeup to do is to make us look effortlessly gorgeous. You know, you want to look like you have naturally perfect skin. You don't want to look like you're wearing layers and layers and layers of product, especially once you get to your 30s and 40s and beyond. I don't think we shouldn't play with makeup. We should always play with makeup. I'm going to play with makeup until I'm like 90. But where we use the artistry and stuff is on our eye looks. What we want for our skin, and maybe our lips, but for skin especially, what you want to look is glowing, flawless, stunning, blemishless. So what's gonna do it for you here? So I feel like my face actually looks really, maybe because this one is like, I feel like this eye's gotten droopier from all the product even. So I hope that you like this side better. I definitely like this side better. I hope that you've learned some what not to do here and that you find it helpful. Let me know what works for you. You know, I don't believe that there's anything that we cannot do with aging skin. Like I said before, some of the bloggers and YouTubers are going to be like, you absolutely cannot bake if you're in your 30s, and I disagree with that. I think that you just have to make sure to correct your mistakes at the right step and the right point, and know when that is. And this has taken a lot of trial and error for me. So I'm gonna finish my face and then I'll come and give you guys a little bit of a wrap up. I'm gonna take this off and start again. So here I am with all of my makeup done, and I did fix this eye. I still think it looks a little bit droopy, but it actually always looks a little bit droopy compared to the other ones. So this is the final look, and all of the eyeshadow that I'm wearing today is ColourPop. So if you missed my ColourPop video, that was my last video, check it out because I ordered a bunch of pink shades from them, and I really like the blendability and how they turned out. So this is the final look, and you can see that my skin looks pretty good and you're not seeing a lot of fine lines and wrinkles. So I hope that you will give this technique a try and let me know in the comments if it works for you or what you like to do to minimize the lines and wrinkles that come with age that concealer can sometimes highlight in ways that we really don't want. And I don't know what's going on with my hair today, y'all. I'm not having a bad hair day, I'm having a weird hair day there. So that is everything. I hope that you find this to be helpful. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the little bell next to subscribe if you want to actually be notified when I post. I try to post a video every week. Certainly every Monday is what I endeavor to do. But if you follow me on Instagram, you know that this last week I've been sick, and so my video didn't go up till Wednesday, and I really apologize about that. But please subscribe if you like what you see. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you next time.